Okay. Let me go and double check and make sure that we're up. Let me see. Yeah. All right, here we go. Cool. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another installation of GameRT's Twitch program and YouTube program now, Low Stress, High Mayhem, where we choose a TTRPG, gather some librarians, play together, and talk about how to bring games and play into our spaces. Today, we are here to play City of Winter from Ross Cowman at Heart of the Unicorn. I am Molly Porter, my pronouns are she, her, and I am the Adult and Teen Services Librarian at the West Feliciana Parish Library in St. Francisville, Louisiana, as well as the current GameRT event programming co-chair. I've brought some friends along with me for this venture, so please introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name's Ross Cowman. My pronouns are he and him, and I own Heart of the Unicorn. We're a game publishing studio and workshop in downtown Olympia. Really excited to be here. This is my first time on Gamer RT.
And I guess I'll go next. I'm Danielle Costello. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a student success librarian at the University of Georgia, where I teach library instruction and create programming for the student body. I am the current Games and Gaming Roundtable president-elect. I will be president in July. That's how that works. And I'm very, very happy to be here. I'm so excited, y'all. This is going to be a fun night. All right, popcorn to Rebecca. Or Regina. There we go. Regina next.
So my name is Regina Boulay-Sweeten. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the Archives and Special Collections Librarian at Eastern New Mexico University in the Golden Library.
Wonderful.
And
yeah.
I am Rebecca Strang. I am a Children's Services Librarian at Naperville Public Library in Illinois, and I'm the current past president of GameRT, and I've done all the things, so I'm happy to be here.
Yes, she's everywhere. Okay. Well, wonderful. Thank you all. Now, this event is being held live. However, if you need to leave or would like to watch it again, a Twitch and YouTube video on demand will be accessible right after we end. If you aren't following GamerT on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, or Discord already, please follow along so you can join us on all of our exciting adventures. Links for all the places you can find us will be posted in the chat throughout this session. For anyone not previously familiar with GamerT, we are the Games and Gaming Roundtable of the American Library Association. Our mission is to promote gaming in libraries, whether it's programming, collection development, community building, prototyping, playtesting, or research. A quick word about upcoming events before we launch into today's. We have a wonderful webinar coming up on May 31st at 2 p.m. Central, and that is the Game Master Librarian Part 2, Immersive Experiences of TTRPGs in Education with Adam Watson. So join us for Part 2. He'll guide us in creating engaging and immersive experiences for our students and patrons. This is going to be more interactive, and it's going to be really cool. So make sure to join us for that. And we're always planning fun and fascinating programming, so keep an eye on our social media and events page for updates. And if you don't follow us, all those links will be added to chat. That said, let's dive into City of Winter. Our facilitator for today is the game's creator, Ross Cowman, who's already introduced himself, from Heart of the Unicorn. So, without further ado, please take it away, Ross.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm just going to be facilitating kind of straight out of the rules here. One thing, this is a role-playing game, and it's kind of from this school of design called story games. And one of the goals in story games is to really create experiences that you can, you don't have to read a novel before you start playing the game, and it doesn't take hours and hours to make your characters. And a lot of the mechanics really focus around story. And this is kind of nice for library programming because, a lot of folks are wanting to have more TTRPGs in their libraries. And what's kind of nice about these kinds of games is, you don't have to have a dungeon master necessarily. These are things where patrons can kind of play one game and then easily facilitate for themselves, or in many cases, facilitate kind of straight out of the rules, which is what I'm going to be doing here. So, so City of Winter is a story game where we're going to follow the journey of a family as they migrate from their home in the Riverlands to live in the City of Winter. This is going to be a one-shot version of the game, but it's designed to be played also as a campaign where we kind of follow this family through the generations, and the characters kind of get older each session, and old characters die and new characters are born. And so this is going to be kind of a good intro session. I'm just running it the same way I would run it if I were planning on a campaign, and I think it's still going to be cool. So yeah, a couple things to say. Just these are some basic things about role-playing games. Normally we'd be passing this book around, but I'll just read these out. So the first 4 things to say. So the first one's about role-playing. In City of Winter, we each take on the role of a different family member. There are many ways to role-play. We might talk casually, like in a conversation, narrate as authors, perform as actors, or mix several styles all at once. Do whatever feels natural or challenge yourself to try something new. The second thing is about group storytelling. As we tell the story, we sometimes step outside of our characters to describe the world around them, what is going on, or role-play side characters that emerge in the scene. We are both writers in the writing room and fans in the audience. Feel free to converse, share ideas, or just wonder aloud about anything that interests you as we play. The third thing is to think small. When it is time to make something up, think small and don't plan too far ahead. Let the story be a wondrous beast we chase but never capture. Ask questions with no clear answers. Raise conflicts with no ready solutions. By letting go, the story we find together will be more profound than anything we might have planned alone. And then the fourth thing is about safety, and a safety tool we'll be using called the X card. The X card is a safety tool. It reminds us that we all have the power to remove anything from the story that is making us feel uncomfortable or spoiling our fun. To do so, simply tap the virtual X card. There actually is one on the table, but in this case, you can just say, like, kind of make an X with your hands, or just type X in chat, or verbally say, hey, I'd like to X, fill in the blank. And we will find another way to tell our story, no questions asked. Does anybody have any questions about that introduction? Okay. All right. So now we get to start playing. So next, we kind of have these steps to follow here, and so now we're at the choose home and tradition step. So I've got here on my screen, and we're using the screen top virtual tabletop version of City of Winter, and everyone on chat is able to see my screen here, so you'll be able to see my cards. Don't tell everybody what I'm holding. It's actually not a secret. Everyone's going to know what I'm holding. So I've unrolled the virtual. So the game City of Winter comes with 2 textile components. The first is this river scroll, which is 5 feet long and hand screen printed. And what we have here is an actual photograph of the physical version that we're going to be using. So our first thing that we're going to do is choose a home and a tradition for our family. So we begin by choosing our family's home from these 3 locations. Each location has a local tradition indicated by the icon next to its name. It's these little icons right here. Boop, boop, boop. This local tradition will be our family tradition. Our options are Lion of the Citadel, Ox of Rivertown, or Temple Heron. Well, it's supposed to say, I just noticed there's like a little typo on the digital version. It says Temple Island there. I'll have to fix that. So
Those
what
are
are
all
people
really cool.
thinking? Yeah.
So what are the 3 traditions, or?
Yeah, the 3 traditions are Lion of the Citadel, or the Lion of the Citadel, Ox of Rivertown, or Temple Heron. And this says Temple Island there. You can't see it because it's covered over by that icon.
I really like Ox, or actually, I just really like Ox.
I like
This is-
Yeah, sure.
I was gonna be nice and give you guys another option, but I'm like, no, that's my
No, it's
best friend
fine.
of your Ox.
Are we okay? Ox, first choice, best choice?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Thank
All
you.
right, we did it. Okay. Great. So So for this next step, we each need a note card. So we've all kind of got these little digital note cards here. And if you haven't already, go ahead and grab one of these note cards off the pile. All you have to do is click it and drag it next to your hand. And we can kind of move our hands around to make some more space here too. So for those kind of,
which one is our hand?
your hand is the one that is clear. The other hands are black.
Gotcha.
And I'm actually going to go ahead and put some of these decks that we're not using right now away so we have a little bit more space. And so this is my hand right here. And I'm going to put it right there. And I'm going to grab a note card. So Regina, where's your hand?
There we go. Oh, it was right there in the middle.
Oh.
I think I've got two things.
You have two cards. So let's move one back over here.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't have a card.
Who doesn't have a card?
Me.
This is fun
Now I
dealing
have
with
one.
virtual cards. Okay, everyone's got a virtual card, and is it next to their virtual hand? Regina, is this your hand right here, Regina?
So my blank space was right under the word temple, and so I dragged my card over to that place. But now I don't see the empty
I
place.
see your note card. I think this might be your hand here because it's the only unclaimed one. Does that look clear to you?
Yes.
Yes, that is your hand. So why don't you go ahead and do that and put your note card next to it. Okay, fantastic. Thank you all for dealing with this little virtual.
Cards go next to our hand, not on top of it.
Yeah, next to it. Yeah. So the note card has your name on it, and we're going to want that to be kind of next to the board so everybody can see it. And the hand is kind of just for you.
Can I move?
I'll move these out of the way for the moment. This is funny. Okay. All right, we're ready for the next step. Okay, so next, everyone's going to choose a name for your character. Oh, it's funny, the preview isn't working when I'm sharing my screen. Okay, can everyone else read that card that I just kind of put in the center? It says choose a name.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so normally, for some reason, it doesn't work if you're in preview mode like I am, but if you hold space over it, you should be able to see it clearly. So yeah, just everyone go ahead and choose a name for your character.
Y'all.
And you're going to virtually write it down on your note card. And you do that by just kind of typing backslash and then you can edit it.
What's up, Danielle?
Danielle,
Danielle wants
are
Tater.
you picking a name that starts with a T?
Are you naming yourself Brad?
No, Tater.
Tater?
I
Tater.
love Tater. Look, potatoes are beloved the world around, a staple crop, vital, important, delicious.
Can someone be taught then?
So
Oh, I want to be taught.
Hard X card taught being a
Oh,
character.
dang. Okay. Fine.
I'm going to choose Olive for my character. So you see, I just kind of clicked on my card and I was able to write Olive there. So now we know what my character is.
I'm gonna go with Thistle.
Ooh, that's a
Ooh,
good
that's a good one.
And if you know pronouns for your character, you can choose those now, or you can decide later. I'm not quite sure yet.
Yeah. Tater's a lady.
And the name list also ends with a prompt you can use to make up additional names. So or another. These are pastoral names.
So I'm on the card. And
Yeah. So just type a slash, or you can right-click it and click write, and select write. I can write on someone's card too for them if they're having a hard time. That was you, Rebecca?
I got mine.
Regina. Yeah, I thought I had it, and I had it. I had my name and name, and I clicked save, but nothing was showing on my card like
Yeah,
others'
mine didn't
cards.
save.
Let me try and do that for you. What name did you pick?
Oh, let me go ahead
look,
now.
I see it
There
now.
it is.
Oh, now it's because I said something. I did it and said no.
For sure.
Okay, wonderful. We did it. Okay. So next we're going to mark age. We track our character's age by drawing circles called marks of age. There's no direct correlation between the number of marks and the exact age of your character in years. We can decide for ourselves what they mean as we play. Choose how old you would like your character to be: child, youth, parent, or elder. Add marks to your note card as follows. A child is no marks. A youth, 1 or 2. A parent, 3, 4, or 5. And an elder, 6. And here's that for reference. And then the way you add marks is you're just going to kind of if you right click and edit your thing, you'll see the marks, and you just kind of want to have as many filled in marks, just kind of copy and paste, so you have as many filled in marks as you want your character to
Got
be
it.
in age. I'm gonna have mine's easy. I'm gonna have Olive be a child, so I'm just deleting all of mine. Boom.
We're just a group of children.
Hold on. Taters could be old. 6, 2, 4,
An old
6.
potato.
An old potato.
Grandpa potato. Grandma potato in this case.
Grandma. 2, 6. Save. There you go.
Oh, boom. Power move, Tater.
So I've got my marks,
Uh-huh.
but I don't see the circles on top of my name, but I don't know if my card looks different.
Which
Okay.
car? I'm sorry. Who's was that?
This
Was you?
is
Regina?
Regina.
That's
I'm
Regina.
sorry.
Thank you. No, it's
Bottom
okay.
left,
It's okay.
saffron, because I see Tater's tots. And I
Okay.
see Violet's dots.
How many marks would you like to have, Saffron?
3. I
3.
don't
Okay.
see olive dots.
All right. You are great. You've got 3 filled in now. I did that for you. We good? Oh yeah, I took off my marks because I'm a child. I have 0 marks.
Oh.
I'm just
I'm
a
just
little
going to
baby.
keep mine at 1 and be youth.
Sounds great. Okay, we did it. Okay, next. Okay, now step 5, make bonds. Our characters begin with 2 bonds. A bond represents an important relationship that helps to define your character's role in our family. To create a bond, combine a prompt from the bonds list with the name of another character and write it on your note card. The prompts are organized by age, and you may only choose prompts at your age or younger. At least one of your 2 bonds must be with another main character. Your other bond may be with a side character, if you wish. And we create side characters just by choosing additional names from the banner. So here's the bonds list. Oh my goodness, is this a good way to do this? Probably not. Can people read that?
There it goes. Let's see.
Yeah,
I have the PDF up for myself.
I do
Oh, thank
too.
God. All right, well, I'll hold this if anyone needs it. Okay, I'll go ahead and demonstrate. So I am a child, so I get 2 bonds from this child list. So, and they have to be both from the. So I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose child of. Let's see who's a parent. I'm going to choose child of Saffron. And I'm going to just do the obvious thing. I'm going to choose the child of Saffron and sibling of Thistle. So those are my 2 bonds. So I'm going to right-click that and write that in here. And Thistle, do you want to go next? So you're going to choose 2 bonds as well. But you can also choose a youth bond, which is kind of from this second list there.
I'm going to be, let's see.
I think Danielle's character is the oldest, and then Regina and me are parents, and then you're a youth, and Ross is a child.
I'm going to, one of my bonds is going to be likeness of Tater, because
Love
you're
it.
just going to be my grandmother.
Yeah.
Love it.
And then, let's see. Molly, what is your character's name?
Violet.
Violet. I'll have likeness of Tater and follower of Violet.
Okay.
Aunt
Perfect.
or something, since Saffron's our mom.
Great.
Yeah.
So go ahead and right-click your note card and add those in. And let's go ahead and have Saffron go next. So Saffron, you get to choose bonds from either the parent, the
Let's see. So, let's see. And so I put that under bonds, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say definitely parent of Olive. And I don't know, do I do a separate one for parent of Thistle? Yeah,
You
Thistle.
probably do both if you want, or you can have 2 bonds that are parent bonds. Oh,
Oh
Ross.
no, Ross.
Oh no.
Did we lose him? Oh no. Oh no.
He was frozen for a minute for me and then now is gone.
That's because we're going to the city of winter and it's cold there, guys.
Probably. As
So
soon as he
cold.
pops back in. There we go.
There you go.
There he is.
Hey. City of Winter doesn't have good Wi-Fi, is what I'm learning.
Yeah, that's one of the problems with Rivertown.
Yeah.
There's laws
Yeah.
banning municipal Wi-Fi's and our
It's not
ISPs.
internet town.
But
It's
what?
Rivertown.
Oh, you're right. Once we do get into City of Winter, we will have good fiber, so it's gonna be
Very
awesome.
Yeah.
true.
Yeah,
Mhm.
totally.
Let's see. So I've got
Sorry, Saffron.
parent of Olive. Boop, 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 boop. I'm also parent of. Sorry, I clicked on the other screen again, and my little right thing went away. Parent of Thistle.
Oh,
And
Okay.
I'm clicking save. There we go. It did show up. See, I have to
Did
get
it.
attention
Yeah.
to this. Although, Thistle. Can anyone else see Thistle's card? Because to me, it's a blank
Yes.
card.
I can see it.
I can see Thistle's card.
Just me being weird.
Okay, Violet, you're why don't you go next?
Okay. I am going to do let me see. I realize I'm a parent, but can I say that Tater is my mom? Child of
Sure.
Tater.
Absolutely.
Child of Tater. And
This is also a
Then you
fantasy
are
world.
my
so,
aunt.
you know, things
Yeah.
that anything's possible.
yeah, so Aunt of Thistle.
Well,
And
there's
Olive.
like implied relationships too. You don't need to define every one of these. It's just
Mhm.
kind of two things that
Right.
you know. We sort of like when we think of you in the family. You know, what do people sort of think about?
Of Thistle. And Olive. Okay.
I guess I was also assuming that Olive and Thistle, as sisters, are both my children, but that doesn't necessarily
That's
have to
true.
be. Could be half siblings.
It's
That's
true.
true.
And I'm gonna for Violet. I'm gonna go ahead and delete. You've got some extra info that doesn't need
Oh.
to be there anymore now. So I'll go ahead and
Yeah.
remove that for you.
Boop.
There you go.
Fabulous.
Okay, and last but not least, Tater.
excellent. I'm gonna start with spoiler of Olive, because that was the absolute best line for
All
a
right.
grandparent.
For sure.
And then I guess I'll do maybe a side character. I'll do Widower of Nightshade. We don't know who Nightshade is, but
Love it. Okie doke. So I'm just going to put this. I'm going to put the Ox of Rivertown card to the side. That's still there for us if we need further inspiration for more characters as they come up in the story. We completed step 5. Okay. I'm going to now. So now we're going to hold traditions. So I'm going to go ahead and flip these tradition cards face up and spread them all out where we can all see them.
Oh no.
well,
Ross, come back.
we need our traditions. Otherwise, it'll be absolute nonsense by us.
Let's see.
This is now one of our traditions,
Yes.
resummoning Ross.
Summoning
Yes.
Ross. Olive disappears.
Olive, where did you go?
Where'd Olive go?
Olive is playing hide and seek.
Yes, for
I
sure.
don't know. Should I keep parent of Olive on here if I keep losing my child? I don't know if I should get credit
I mean-
I
for
mean,
parenting.
you're still a parent despite your child being
Yeah.
very good at hiding.
Yeah.
I mean,
There we go. We're at
I
a
see
shopping.
them in the chat. I see Ross in the chat saying, bro.
Bro.
yeah,
Hey, Ross.
Oh, Ross.
all right. So the good thing
As
about
soon
this
as you're back,
is
I can put you back on the screen.
when you're doing virtual events,
Yeah.
drop in and drop out is very common. So you're
Very
gonna want to make
common.
sure.
Yeah.
He can see the screen tap still. Go ahead
Okay.
and spread out the cards.
Okay.
All the cards, Ross?
Yeah, I
Can you
guess so.
hear us?
Yeah.
The only thing is
It's weird
because
if
he was
see us, but
sharing
he's not.
his screen, we couldn't.
Oh, I'll share mine.
There
Okay.
we go. That'll be
Perfect.
good.
One memento.
Fabulous.
So for the stream and chat, thank y'all for your patience with us. We're putting out a bunch of different cards which will miraculously appear pretty soon.
Yes. Magic. Okay.
Magic. There we
All right,
go.
Molly, I've got a screen
Cool.
shared.
That's going to be
I-
5.
If I'm screen sharing, it's going to be harder for me to actually focus on playing.
That's okay.
But
Okay.
that is-
Then Ross's next direction is to grab the number of cards equal to our age marks.
Okay.
So
Ooh.
wisdom
Alright.
before beauty, I'm going to get 5.
There is wisdom of the council. You're talking
Ooh.
about wisdom. If you want that responsibility.
Ooh, wisdom of the council. I could be... Which row-ish?
It's at the top towards the very
Oh, I see. Yes. I'll be wise. Ross, quick question. Do we do these one at a time or do we kind of like oh sweet.
Oh, you're back.
Oh, hold on. Okay, perfect. Let me see. That one
A
is
dancing game.
12
Yes, absolutely. Oh, these are
and
cool.
4.
I'm going to stop sharing mine.
And there you go.
Sorry,
Okay.
everybody.
No, it's fine.
We play on the fly, and this is totally fine.
This is very
Great.
much on brand for us. It's totally fine.
We are prepared for chaos.
Well, and this is also like part of why we do this is to show people that like things can be different and change and it's all right, you know? So,
Absolutely.
All right, so let me know when you've all finished picking your cards.
okay.
I picked my one card.
Each main character, I'll go ahead and read the rules. Each main character begins with a hand of tradition cards equal to their marks of age. Children begin with no tradition cards. Holding a tradition might mean this tradition is important to your character, that they exemplify this tradition, or that they are somehow obligated to uphold this tradition. Everyone can choose at once. Pick tradition cards that you feel drawn to. Don't worry if you do not know what a card means when you choose it. The meaning of our traditions will naturally grow and change as we play. Oh, am I sharing my screen twice?
I reshared mine because I wasn't sure if Molly switched.
I got
from my
it. I got
shared-
everything.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, you can never see this too many versions of this.
Chaos.
for sure.
All right, has everyone? Let me know when you've all picked.
I'm
Just
good
a
with
second.
mine. How about y'all?
I'm
I picked
grabbing
my
them right
one.
now.
Oh, you're
I
looking for
need
your
to
last
pick
one.
2 more.
Okay.
And
And this is actually a really important. It's a surprisingly impactful decision, especially if you're playing a campaign.
Should they be flipped over?
Put them in your hand. So this is what your hand is for.
Mhm.
Okay.
So they should just naturally kind of snap in your hand, and then we can't see them, and you're the only person that can see them.
I
Oh yeah,
don't
Molly,
think I
you've got your
have a
name
hand.
card. You've
And
got your
like-
name card over the spot where your hand
Oh,
is.
got
And-
it.
And other people not being able to see them isn't so much about keeping them secret, because
Uh-huh.
if we're paying attention, we all know which traditions people hold. It's more about
Right.
kind of controlling how much information is on the table at one time.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right, everyone has picked. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and. Oh, whoa! Somebody just gave me a bunch of traditions.
What? Oh,
That might have been me. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and select everything. And oops.
Whee!
Let's see. There's a way. Whatever. Okay, so I'm just going to put all these back in a deck. Do.
That's neat how they all like stack and you
Mhm.
can see the number of how many is in each card or each
Yeah, totally.
stack.
Screen top is great. Okay, so I'm going to put our
Oh,
deck
there's
over
one
here.
still over here.
Oh yeah, go ahead and put her. Whoop. Okay, so I'm going to double click this and hit Z. So give it a shuffle. Okie doke. Choose tokens. Take a token to represent your character and place it on the picture of our home. The tokens have different images on each side. You can choose either side to represent your character and even change sides during play if you like.
So how do you? You said there's images on both sides.
Uh-huh.
How do you
Okay.
switch?
F to flip. You can hold spacebar if you want to see it up close.
Gotcha.
So
ooh.
Oh, did I just flip the entire screen?
Yeah.
I didn't realize I could even do that.
We're learning.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I know it's pears, but it does look like a basket of potatoes.
It does.
It can be,
Yeah.
it can be potatoes, you know.
We can say it's potatoes. It starts with
Excellent.
a T.
All right, so Tater, you
Pears
choose
are
the
like
basket. Go ahead and put
apples.
that on Rivertown.
Excellent. Where will-
And is this crown the one that's left over? So I can take that for myself. I'm definitely choosing this this crown of blossoms. And then Tater, go ahead and put your token on there. Okay.
There we go.
And one thing that's kind of nice is it's sort of I think, yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. Step 8: introduce the Umbra. The Umbra is coming. The Riverlands are no longer safe. Our family must flee to the City of Winter to find another home. The Umbra represents the force that drives us from our home, and the Umbra deck is a tool we can reach for when we want to introduce pressure or adversity into our story. It is up to us to decide exactly what the Umbra is and how big a role the Umbra takes in our story as we play. That's all I have to say about that. All right, that's character creation. We finished. Now we're playing the game. That was not playing. So if you were having fun, that's not what we were supposed to be doing. That was the work. That was the fun part. Okay, City of Winter is played in chapters. During a chapter, we take turns leading the group in a tradition scene. To start a new chapter, decide who will go first, and then continue taking turns clockwise. I'll go ahead and go first. Just take some of the pressure off y'all. And then we'll continue going clockwise, and I'm going to treat the order that we're seated at the table as our order in the game. Okay, so on your turn, do the following. Choose a scene. Each location has several prompts called scenes. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. Boop, 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 boop. All right, so this is our location, Rivertown. And we've got some scenes here. The scenes are When It Rains, Oxbridge, Elder's Cottage, Fairgrounds, the Strong River, the Old Orchards, and Hills. You may choose any scene, even if another player's token is already there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to choose... I'm going to choose Hills. No, change my mind. I'm going to choose Elder's Cottage. Back it up. Back it up. Elder's Cottage. Okay. Then the next thing, share or witness. During a scene, your character will either share or witness a tradition. Choose one of the following two options and follow the instructions. So I'm a child. I don't have any traditions in my hand, so I actually have no choice but to witness a tradition. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'll talk about sharing a tradition on someone else's hand. So I'm going to witness a tradition. So to witness a tradition, you draw a card, either from the Umbra deck or the local tradition deck, which in this case is the Ox. So the local tradition icon, the icon next to our location is our local tradition. So we are in Rivertown, and the local tradition is the Ox of Rivertown. Also, on the entire river scroll, the Umbra is also available as a local tradition. Boom. Because that's what we're dealing with. So I'm going to take a card, and without looking at it, I'm going to give it to another player who privately reads the prompt on the card. So I'm going to take this card, and so I have in my mind that we're at Elder's Cottage, and I really want a scene where I'm being spoiled by my grandma, Tater.
Yeah.
So because I already kind of know in my head that I want Tater to be their character in the scene, I'm not going to give this card to Tater. And that's because Tater is going to be too busy coming up with all the ways that she's spoiling me. And I don't want her to be distracted by the fact that she also has to be portraying the local traditions. So I'm going to give this card. I'm going to give this card to you, Rebecca. Would you please take this and put it in your hand? And you can go. Oh, wait. Sorry. Wait. I screwed up. I saw that one. I'm going to shuffle it. All right. I'm not supposed to look at it. All right. So go ahead and take that in your hand, Rebecca, and look at it privately. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to lead the scene. So describe where we are, who's there, what's going on right now. As the scene continues, the rest of us may listen, ask questions, offer suggestions, and act out other characters. Okay, and then step 4 of this, so I'm not going to do that quite yet because I want to let you know what else is going to happen. So pass on the tradition. Before the end of the scene, we use the chosen tradition card to describe how a tradition is either shared or witnessed by your character, my character here. So we're witnessing a tradition. So the rules for that are, if you are the player who's been given the tradition cards, this is for you, Rebecca. It is your job to look for opportunities to introduce this tradition into the scene. Instead of role-playing your character, role-play as the locals who practice this tradition. You can just describe what people around us are doing, or, if you like, make up a new side character. Don't be in a hurry. Let the scene unfold on its own, and when you're ready, jump in and describe how the tradition is witnessed in the scene. When you're done, pass the card to the player whose turn it is. They add it to their hand. That's me. Step 4. This is very important. If it's your turn, when you're ready for your scene to end, let the group know, and it's time for the next player's turn. So when it's your turn, very important, tell us when your scene's over.
Okay. Can traditions tie to other traditions?
Sure.
Like, the 2 cards that I have work very well together, and I feel like they one tradition compete with the other.
Oh, yeah. Well, so you're just going to be witnessing one tradition.
Sure.
So mechanically, you're just going to be playing that one card this turn.
Okay.
But if you want to kind of foreshadow or allude to another card that's in your hand, that's totally fine as well.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to start the scene now. We're at Elder's cottage and I think this is my grandma Tater's cottage. And I would love just to kind of hear. I think I'm sitting on the kitchen floor right now, and I'm kind of curious. And maybe Tater, you can kind of describe to me a little bit like what we see. If this was like a POV, shot from from Olive's perspective, what do they see as they look up? Like, what's your decor like inside your cottage?
So this is going to be a very kind of kitschy, kind of like there's knickknacks and tchotchkes and little bits and bobs of acorns or small glass. There's going to be a lot of different like shiny dangly objects. One of the things that you're most noticing, however, as you're on the floor, is that there's a permeating smell of just all your favorite foods. Just delicious. Like, I am going to town like with already prepared like desserts, and you're already in your first snack. Like, your fingers are sticky, and you're just kind of looking up to see what I'm doing, and I'm making shu pao, which is like the biggest devotion of love because it takes at least 2 days to get it right, where first I've already prepared all the kind of filling bits, and now I'm kneading the dough, and you can smell that yeasty kind of just deliciousness permeating, and there's already one steamer basket going but everything's too hot. You're not allowed to touch, although you're very, very tempted because they're beautiful and shiny and ready to go.
Yeah, I think we see Olive kind of, and I'm imagining I've got like really kind of rosy cheeks and really bright, active eyes, and I'm kind of like looking around, but I think Olive kind of doesn't really say much and doesn't really is extremely kind of shy, but has like a very like kind of rich internal world. And my hair is kind of done up in a bunch of like hair ties, and it's kind of like going out every which direction, and I'm dressed very creatively. I'm when I'm at grandma's house, I'm kind of allowed to dress myself, and I think I'm like I currently have one of your kitchen aprons kind of tied around my head, and it's kind of like a cape that's kind of like going down, behind me, and I'm kind of tugging I'm sort of tugging on the side of your apron that you're actually using right now, and trying to like see up over the table at what you're looking at.
Oh, absolutely. So, like, in fact, I will move one of the stools I have. So I got the carpenter to make one just for you, so you can be up and high.
Okay, cool. I kind of scramble into my stool, and just sort of wait patiently. And as you're cooking, I get really distracted by the by kind of following the patterns. And I think you have this really like elaborate silk dyed tablecloth with these kind of like swirly patterns in it, and there's all this like symbols and stuff. I think like a lot of like agrarian symbols, and like there might be some stuff that's like very meaningful about the history of the family or something. And I'm just kind of like, I'm sort of tracing the sort of ornate like kind of woodcut print looking curls in the beard of some ancestor, almost like it's like a maze with my finger, trying to see if I can make it all the way from the top of the beard to the bottom without touching everything. And every time I accidentally touch a line, I make myself start over at the beginning, and I'm just kind of doing that over and over again, like super focused. Yeah. And then I think at some point, maybe you interrupt me and the food's ready. So describe this dish that you've made.
Okay, so it's siupao. It is a steamed, essentially meat dumpling, but the bread is yeasted, so it's kind of, but it's a sweet bread. So the bread is sweet. The filling can be really anything under the sun. So it matches what you like. I prefer kind of a balanced taste to my meat, but I'm like, no, 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 whatever you prefer, kind of for that. It might have like a salted egg in the middle. It might have like
Mm.
couple, so whatever you prefer. But it, like, I've definitely taken like the family recipe, and it's like, no, we're gonna make it olives style, like whatever your favorite tastes are.
Oh,
Um,
I wonder what Olive's really into. I think I have a sweet tooth. I'm really into
okay.
sugary things.
Then I went a little bit ham on the brown sugar when I was adding things. But then I also have like a dessert section too. Like the dessert sections are there, but it's rich and it's filling, and you can have more than one, and they kind of pop open and steam up, and they're the most delightful kind of sharing experience. And I'm like,
Yeah, I think
I
this
love
is
you so
Olive's
much.
first time having one of these, and they kind of like pick it up, and it's like, you've let it cool down, I assume, to a
Mm.
child appropriate
Oh
temperature,
yeah.
and I'm kind of like smelling it, and I like take a bite, and my face just like lights up. I'm like, oh, and
Uh-huh.
I finally say something for the first time this whole scene. I'm like, oh, that's really good.
Of
Wow. And I'm just
course.
like having this, like my whole body is just like, I'm almost like jiggering. I think it's partly the sugar starting to hit my system.
Yeah,
Maybe I did.
absolutely.
Maybe
Yeah, no,
mom.
this is one
Maybe
of
mom
our
didn't feed me for breakfast.
yeah, this is what I learned when I was little, as you are, and this is what everybody will learn going forward. Shu is how food is how we show love. So eat as much as you want.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's really tasty. And I'm just like, incoherent mumbling and joyous noises.
Like
Kind of
in my head, I'm
coming out.
like, yes, I did it.
Yeah.
Success.
Yeah, and I massacre that shoe pow, and it's just like all over me. I'm like wearing part of it. It's kind of like, kind of
That's the
going
way.
all over.
And
Yeah.
then I guess the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start wrapping the rest of them up,
Okay.
because what I feel like we might be doing, I don't know where the tradition might come in, but I feel like the next logical thing is now we're going to share it, and I want to show Olive how we kind of distribute food to
Oh,
our neighbors, and how we kind of move and go about the different like
yeah.
families and interact with them.
Yeah, what do you think, Rebecca? Are you ready to introduce something?
Um,
We can keep
I
going too if you're not quite sure yet.
yeah, not 100% yet.
Sounds great. Well, I'll
Okay.
keep rolling. Okay. So, yeah. So I'd like to. What kind of weather? What kind of weather is it like? So I'm imagining kind of like looking out the window, while you're sort of packing things up.
Yeah, this feels like a very summer kind of day, like the best kind of summer where the sun is warm but not too hot, and there's that cool breeze, and everything smells of just green, like
Mm.
deep green. And as we go outside, it's a little bit next to the river, a little bit humid, a little bit kind of like it's when you go outside, it's like, oh, I've walked into maybe an oven on the outside as well as an oven on like from my kitchen area. So but yeah, like one of those beautiful, warm, humid summer days, but nothing that's too excessive or too hot. And I guess we could go visit
Uh,
the
we should
daughter, or we or
let's stay
stay.
in the Elder's
Okay,
Cottage. I think
yeah,
we should keep this in
okay,
here. But I
yeah.
was thinking maybe I think Thistle probably stops by, my sibling. Are you okay if you show up now, Thistle?
Yeah. So Thistle is your older sibling, and I imagine like when I show up at Ma Tater's house that I walk in and my little sibling is just there, like sticky glory, all of this food, and I see you like touching things, and I'm like, oh, Olive, like trying to let you, be a kid, but not get grandma's stuff all sticky. So I'm like chasing after you with like a little washcloth to get your fingers at least, but also still feeding you snacks at the same time because
Food is love.
grandma's snacks are delicious and I
They're-
cannot resist.
yeah.
Um, and I imagine that Thistle would probably have like an arts and crafts bin at grandma's house, and I
Mm,
might pull that out. It's like in a chest that is kept underneath. There's some blankets that lay on top of it that we sometimes snuggle underneath. And I'm going to move those blankets and grab the art box so that we can maybe draw together to keep you out of the kitchen a little bit because I know that it's a lot of work in there. Uh, so maybe distract you a little bit by having some arts and crafts time.
yeah, and all of it's highly divertible, and I think you do manage to catch me, and my hands are all kind of cleaned up, and it's something where like it's like I've got so much energy now because I'm so hyped up on sugar that it's like you're only able to isolate and control one of my limbs at a time. So like as you're washing one hand, I'm just kind of like reach in, pulling on things. My feet, I'm kind of like leaning, and then you kind of like get to you pin down my other arm, and then my left arm, and now my right arm's flailing around, and then you start to wash my face, but then my other two arms are flailing around. But you do manage to get all parts of me clean, and I'm soon involved with you, well into that art bin, where I think maybe there's some. I think we're like river agrarian people. I bet we got some clay. I bet there's some like straw dolls in there. I think maybe I I'm just kind of taking some inspiration from my crown. I think I kind of have this like half finished straw crown that I was working on last time, and I think I kind of get back into that a bit. And so the two of us are kind of busy, weaving and messing around with the art bin while we can kind of hear the sounds of the kitchen getting tidied up, and perhaps Grandma Tater singing a little song, her singing voice kind of echoing through the kitchen.
The eye of the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight.
Oh, that's the one. That's the one you're singing.
Look, tigers are really dangerous in Riverland.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So how are you feeling about that? Also, if you're feeling stumped, you can definitely ask for help if you want some help integrating something.
Rebecca.
Well, I think so do I name the tradition card or I just
tell us what we
describe?
see. Yeah.
So I think as we're playing, we kind of see Grandma Tater she's in the kitchen and the stove is on and it's hot in there. And earlier she had talked about preparing meals for our neighbors. And so I think one of our traditions is this feeding of our friends and our family and seeing her in the oven. And the oven is kind of her tool that she uses to forge these connections with people, and us learning to help with that, like kind of learning her recipes as we grow up and learning the steps to do this so that we can continue in her tradition of that. I think that is something that I look to as this like, wow, like grandma feeds all these people with her food and it's amazing. And she's making all of these connections with our townspeople and she's doing this with her oven. And it's really cool to me.
Awesome. Okay. So go ahead and hand me that card. And you can reveal what it is, so we can kind of see that, just to kind of give folks at home an idea of what the prompt you're messing with. So Way of the Forge. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in my hand, and this is a tradition I could use in a future scene. And I'm going to go ahead. I feel like that's enough. I'm going to go ahead and end the scene there and pass the turn clockwise to Thistle. So Thistle, it is now your turn. So why don't you go ahead and start by moving your token to one of those scenes at our current location.
All right. I think I'm gonna go to When It Rains.
Okay, great. And then you get to choose. Would you prefer to witness a tradition, or would you like to share a tradition from your hand?
I will witness a
Okay,
tradition.
fantastic. So go ahead and give the top card of either the Ox deck or the Umbra deck to another player.
Let's give this to Mom. I'll give this to Regina. Do I just put this in her
Yeah.
deck then?
Yeah, or you can ask Regina to grab
Or
it.
yeah, you can
Okay,
grab
so
that.
Regina, go ahead and put that in your hand so you're the only person that sees it, and go ahead and look at it. And just as a reminder, so you're going to be role-playing as the locals who practice this tradition. And some advice I give people about role-playing a local tradition. There's a few ways you can do this. You can reveal the tradition directly through a side character. So you can make up some new character that just kind of pops up in the scene. You can reveal it directly through like a group of people. You could kind of describe a group of farmers that are practicing this tradition, or a group of elders. And you can also reveal a tradition indirectly through the environment. So you can, like if a tradition was something about like, maybe Christmas or something like that, maybe you reveal that, you see all of the Christmas trees set outside in front of the driveway for a collection by the local Boy Scouts, something, they can be kind of indirect like that as well. The main thing is that we're not typically revealing these traditions through our characters. So this isn't Saffron revealing this tradition. You're actually taking on the role of just the Ox people in general. And just feel free to jump in and interrupt at any point and just like take control of the scene to do this when you feel like it's the right time. Okay, so I'm going to pass it back to you, Rebecca. So this is your scene. So why don't you go ahead and tell us about When It Rains and who's there and what's going on right now.
So I think after we've just had a big thunderstorm and the rain is kind of slowing down a little bit. It's not quite storming outside, but there's still some pitter patter coming down. And I see a bunch of puddles outside that I would love to jump in. And I'm going to see if Olive wants to come outside with me and maybe we can grab Aunt Violet and go play in the rain.
Wonderful.
So does Olive like playing in the rain?
Yeah, I mean, you can just put us there in the scene,
Okay.
like just say we're there,
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, totally. Yes, yeah. Olive and Violet. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
So
Or Gina.
I guess like maybe there's uh like flower field or meadow kind of nearby grandma's cottage where we often play, and so that's our kind of go-to place, especially when it's raining, because when it's raining we can get some puddles out there. There's lots of bugs and creepy crawlies who are coming up out of the ground that we can pick up and play with and collect. We might grab a few jars to bring with us to collect some of those.
So I have a question. I'm kind of thinking about rain gear, like what we're wearing. I was kind of imagining, kind of like ox hide treated, stuff, but also maybe maybe we like specifically don't eat ox. Maybe we're not even humans. I'm not quite sure. We haven't really like established those things yet. But does anybody have any thoughts kind of around, our rain gear? Like, what do we wear when we're out in the rain?
We've got all these reeds by the river, I assume, so we can have like straw hats that the rain can, if it's woven together. And Olive has already practiced some basic weaving of reeds, but that's like the extreme step is you make like really cool hats that the water just goes off of.
Sounds great. Yeah. So we see Olive, and I think Olive is we see Olive, and they're wearing a one of these like reed hats, and like you can't even really see their head underneath it. It's like a little oversized. You don't want to like weave a new one of these things every 6 months. It's like if you're making one of these for your kids, it's never really quite. When you're a kid, your reed hat is a hand-me-down, and it's never really quite the right size. And I think they also have this. Maybe it's like a real kind of like an oiled flax, kind of woven, parka or like kind of poncho like thing that also kind of sheds rain, and it's kind of brightly dyed with this kind of like purple berry juice. And like maybe no shoes and socks. It's like kind of maybe warm enough that you don't have to mess around with that when it's puddle jumping time. And we see Olive just kind of like I think in their head they're just getting really into like looking at the reflection of the sky, and like we sort of see their face in it, and you can kind of see their face kind of in the shadow of this parka, and then they just like have like then they just kind of bend down and splash it and are just really tripping out over how the reflection gets interrupted.
Yeah, and I think Thistle is probably just found a spot to sit down next to Olive, and instead of playing like right in the puddle, I'm gathering up some mud and I'm just making shapes, like trying to build some sort of tiny little sculpture that I can put all of the little critter like bugs that I've collected, like make a little playhouse for them outside in the rain.
Yeah. I think that Violet has taken some reeds from the side and is starting to try to weave something out of them. Like maybe they're making a hat to take with them later on, that kind of thing. Just, sitting back, letting the kids have playtime.
That's
And
awesome.
I'm definitely running up to Aunt Olive and showing you every bug that I've caught before I put it in this little mud house that I've made.
Ooh,
Oh, that's
yeah.
awesome.
That'll be a nice house for that one. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what bug are you showing me right now?
What's that
So
one's name?
right now I have a worm and his name is Alfred.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
It's very plump, like earthworm.
Alfred's a very handsome worm.
Yeah, I think Olive kind of like reaches out, and like the worm kind of just sort of like touches Olive's hand, and it just sends this like electric jolt of like just she's got a very sensitive hand, and she just starts cracking up. She thinks it's the funniest thing ever. She like pulls her hand real far back. She's like
And I'll just keep doing it as you're laughing.
Yeah. And I think Olive's laugh is just like crazy. It's like really loud. It's just this full bellied, piercing laugh that you can hear from a mile away.
Well, as y'all are sitting there, you'll see some older townsfolk, the kind who have like jobs and chores already, who aren't able to like sit, like walking, but they're like stooped over, and they're going for all the places there are logs that are on the ground. Um, there's moss that grows, but it dries out, and then whenever it rains, the moss blooms back up. It's so it's like in Gulf Coast resurrection moss, where it's like it's totally dead, and then 6 months later it rains and it's all green. But they also have there's a certain little beetle that's coming out and eating when the moss is green. So you know which bugs you're allowed to get, but those bugs that are going for the moss, those little beetles, those are the ones that people are picking, but they have to wait until they've eaten some of the moss. They're gathering those up. And that's really great because, that's one of our medicines that we have in this area. So, boy, it would be bad if we had to go anywhere because we'd be leaving this very area-specific medicine. But, thank goodness, we live here in Rivertown.
Forever.
I love that there's like something about like the beetles, the alchemy between the beetle digesting this particular moss. I think it's like really cool.
Yeah, like you can kind of see their shell, like the shimmer, the color kind of changes. That's when you know it's ready to pick.
Awesome. So you can go ahead and give your tradition card to Rebecca, and they can keep it in their hand. So we can see there, it's where medicine grows. Wonderful. So now, Rebecca, it's still your scene. We continue the scene as long as you like, or you can wrap it up. And
Yeah, I think at some point, Thistle and Olive might, want to stay outside playing in the rain all day long, but eventually we hear Aunt Violet calling us.
Hey, we have to go back to Grandma Tater's. I think she's made a really good dinner, though.
awesome. And I'm imagining as I get hauled off, I probably have to be carried. I'm like a little tired. I don't want to walk. So as Violet's carrying me away, I'm looking over your shoulder, kind of watching these beetle gatherers, as they're kind of, maybe they have like a special some tongs or something they use to kind of gather these and put them in their reed baskets.
And I'm really apprehensive about leaving the little mud house that I've built because I've built this thing and I don't want it to go away, but I also realize it's mud in the rain. So I take all of the bugs out and I just stomp it back into the ground and let the bugs go.
That's kind. All right, cool. Is that scene?
That, as we're running all muddied into Grandma's house, scene.
All right.
Oh, children!
Oh, scene's over. Too late. All right, Saffron, it is your turn.
All right. So
Go ahead and choose a scene.
the old orchard.
Okay. And then would you like to share or witness a tradition?
Um,
And if you're sharing, don't show us what it is. I haven't told people what that entails yet.
Yeah, I think witness, but I can choose one of the Umbra, right?
You sure can.
Okay.
Yeah, so go ahead and give that to another player.
Violet. Here you go.
Okay, so that goes in your hand, Violet. Okay, and let's go ahead and start the scene. Tell us about the old orchard and what Saffron's doing there.
So I feel like it's the old orchard, which entails there's a new orchard. But that means that this one, it's got the like the really old trees, the trees that are thick, that like, who knows, maybe Ma Tater climbed these trees when she was young. But I'm out here, I'm gathering some of these apples. Some are, it's like, well, actually, you know what? Is it apples? But summer, I don't think we're picking apples yet, are we?
Not quite. Unless we live in a fantasy world where seasons don't matter.
But it's peaches. We're
Peach.
picking
Yeah, peaches.
And get it, like, make sure we, there's some that are like windswept that are on the ground. So I've got thistle and olive with me because I feel like I'm probably fairly young, but if I have people who are closer to the ground, they can help me pick up all those things and like reach them, and I don't have to like bend my back down all the time. So we're a good team out here, but everyone has their basket. So thistles, I'm assuming yours is probably doing nice and full. Olive, how are you doing with filling your basket here?
Yeah, about half of each peaches make it into the basket.
Is it half eaten or like just half you've already like are they just half peaches?
Olive pleads the fifth.
Like how big is Olive? Can Olive carry a basket or eat peaches?
Olive is definitely large enough to eat peaches, at least half a peach. But yeah, carrying the basket, I think I'm doing a little more dragging than carrying.
Maybe that's why they're eating half the peaches.
Oh,
To make them lighter.
Yeah.
I think I'm at an age where not a lot of productivity has yet been expected of me, and so I kind of have like a little practice basket that maybe it's kind of fine. It's like, oh yeah, you're helping. All of it's helping.
Well, I think if we're like this is an orchard, we're not just getting like 3 or 4. So we probably have like the kind of baskets that you can put over your back, and that has like the big open thing that it goes the length of your back.
Oh,
so
cool.
like you could, ask Thistle if this is a good one to add her to her basket, and if it's half eaten, perhaps she kindly declines.
Okay, yeah. So I do that, and I kind of figure out eventually that I'm not supposed to take bites out of them before I offer them.
If you hand me one that has a bite taken out of it, I just take another bite out of it.
Yeah, it's a really good one. Yeah, it's just. I kind of am holding up a peach to you for your judgment. It's actually a pretty good peach. I think maybe I finally got it right this time. Olive's very hopeful.
Ooh, that is a really good peach, and I take it and I like make a big show of looking it over and like eyeing this peach and then put it in my own basket. Or I'll kneel down and let you put it in my basket.
Yeah, Olive kind of like drops it in there, and yeah, it's just, and I think I'm imagining just like the smell of peaches wafting over because it's kind of summer, and I think it's a little warmer in your basket. Maybe the sun's been shining on it a little bit, and all those peaches together. It's just this really wonderful, intoxicating smell. It kind of reminds me of Grandma Tater's pies.
Peach pie, peach cobbler.
Do you think? Do you, do you think Grandma Tater will make a pie?
Ooh, she might, but we'll have to make sure we pick out some really good peaches and not take any bites out of
Mama,
Yes,
don't
Olive. I call down from a tree.
don't take any bites out of your peaches, so Grandma make a pie.
I
What
like
if
that the
I-
implication is that Olive can take the bites. It's just the other people that can't.
Like, don't screw this up for us.
Olive has special rules, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't take any more bites than I already have.
Ah,
How many peaches do we need for a pie?
6-ish.
oh,
More
is
th- more you
Tater,
need more than
Tater
that, yeah.
around?
Yeah.
You catch up to us.
Oh, yeah. Watching the
Okay. Um, I think at this point, as you're picking peaches, you're walking through the orchard, and you can see over on the edge of the orchard, there are a few trees that look sick. There's something that's getting to them, it's affecting them. Um, the flowers that would have become peaches have withered and fallen. And this seems to be an effect of this umbra starting. This looks like some kind of scar that it's leaving on the land.
So I'm imagine our mom's probably the only one that notices this, or maybe Tater.
Maybe, I don't know, can I like invite myself into the scene, because I don't want to, like, part of me is thinking I could just like join and be like, hey, kind of not to the kids, but just aside to Saffron, say like, hey, there's something going on over there. Maybe we should get out of here, you know?
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
You can also just like kind of leave it there and just like let
Okay.
the witnessing character sort of decide what they want to do with that
Sure.
information.
Okay. Well then, yeah, I'll leave it there.
So I'll definitely, you can see those trees, and I'll say, all right, this little olive, we don't have quite enough peaches, I think, because we want to make sure some of the other houses have enough for their pies too. So, I think, and I point the opposite direction from those trees, I think one of the best pies I ever had was from peaches over this direction. Should we go see if there are any peaches today?
Yeah, Olive's just like not. Olive makes some agreeing sounds through a mouthful of whatever peach they just took a bite out of. Yeah, let's do that.
And as we're kind of going, I'm gonna kind of like, because I know the peaches that I've been gathering. I'm gonna ask Thistle if I can kind of look in her basket and, oh, how are you doing? And kind of inspect to see if there's anything rotten.
And you look in my basket, and there's like 4 peaches in there because Olive and I have been snacking.
Okay. Guess who doesn't have to cook dinner tonight because everyone's full on peaches?
Cool. Would you like to continue that scene, or do you want to end that there?
Maybe I think that would be good where we just gather the rest of the basket over there. I might put a few of mine into Thistle's basket so it's a little more full. And that can end there.
Okay. So you can go ahead and give that card to Saffron. All right. And now it is Tater's turn.
Quick question about scenes. How do
Mhm.
they work differently than witnessing? Do I just say, hey, this is the kind
Oh,
of
sharing versus witnessing?
Yeah, sharing. That's it.
Yeah, I'll read the rules. So here's how you share a tradition. Play a card from your hand face down onto the table. And then at some point during the scene, when you pass on the tradition, use the prompt on your card to describe how you share a tradition with another player's character and pass them the card to add to their hand. It's that simple.
Okay. Then, oh, is that face down?
As
I'll flip
face
it.
up.
Boop. There we
We'll
go.
pretend we
Okay.
didn't see it.
Yay. It was very tiny. So, and can I do a scene from the past? Or is it
Yeah,
like.
absolutely. You can do a
Okay,
little flashback.
excellent. So it's going to be when Thistle and Violet were really little. Or no, Saffron and Violet were little.
And make
Like
sure
as
to
little as Olive is now. And
go ahead and put
it's
and make sure to put your token on a scene, whichever one you're doing.
boop. And we're going to go to the, let's see. Okay. Yeah, we're going to go to the Strong River. And so part of the scene is I'm taking you with our very nicely, amazingly woven baskets. I think that's one of the things we established. We can make hats, but we also have these really watertight baskets that are wonderful for carrying water to our different areas of irrigation and moving that water into these kind of large basins that will like irrigate our fields and kind of all the different agricultural stuff. So I'm taking you from like showing you like here's where we go and take the water from the river, and here's what the safe places, because some of the river is very strong and indeed, and if you go into it, you
Oh no.
Oh no!
Oh no.
Danielle was
She
swept
went
away
into
by the
the
I lost
river.
Danielle.
She went into the deep river.
There
Oh,
she
there you
is.
are.
Oh, you're back.
the deep river could take you away. I was hiding under the water and then I popped back up, and so you have to be careful, friends. My children, not friends. Yeah, both. And so I showed you the irrigation and the water, but most importantly, this is how we sow our seeds, and this is how we prepare our crops, and this is the songs we sing and the tales we tell them, because they're also our friends. And so I show you each plant and I introduce you kind of to each of the fields, and it's like these are your friends, and this is how you know what aren't friends and what are friends, as far as like essentially what is weeds and what is our plants. And then in particular, I get these sweet potato slips. And I'm like, okay, this is the most important because taters are the most delicious. And then I get okay, we get a big mound of dirt and we move it with our arms together to like, so it's in the center. Like how we take all of our different individual selves and we work together as a community. And then I put 3 in the middle and I mound it up, and then I show that's because we can never be alone. We always have to be together. And then I kind of fix all this, and yeah, I made us cry. Yay. But yeah. And so I show you all of our friends and all of our plants, the most important being the tater, of course. And then I'm going to pull us from that scene to now we're with Tater and we're with Thistle. I'm introducing Thistle and Olive as well. Same traditions, same taters. It looks a little bit more kind of put together, and a little bit we've moved on since then and kind of put in more friends into our fields, but it's the same tradition of here's your friends. This is why we're community together. And I will give to my oldest daughter, I think. Yes, my oldest daughter, Violet, that we sow seeds.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for that. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Okay, so now it is Violet. It is your scene.
I have a clarifying question before I do.
Yes.
Do we know yet that we have to leave?
That's entirely up to us in the fiction. The premise is that the Umbra is coming and the Riverlands are no longer safe, and our family must flee to the city of Winter to find another home. Do we know that we must flee? No. Maybe yes or no. Maybe not. For my own kind of play style, honestly, the I played a campaign of City of Winter where we spent 3 sessions in Rivertown before we left.
Right.
And
Okay.
just kind of we don't have to be in a hurry.
Okay.
But if you're kind of interested in seeing some of those mechanics kind of at work, we can definitely jump in it. Which actually, just pacing wise, how much time do we have for this session?
I am thinking, just because of, again, the pacing of this, that we could go until maybe, well, I guess I'm thinking in Central Time. Hold on. Until 5 Pacific, which would
Okay.
be 7 Central, 6 Mountain.
I will
8
have to cut out a
Danielle's
little
time.
bit before that. I have
That's totally
a
fine. We
meeting
can,
in
yeah.
43 minutes.
Okay, we
Yeah.
can stop.
It's a small
whenever we
town. I
need
can
to.
be there in 6 minutes. So
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds great. So
Okay.
I would say, just for the purposes of the example, we'll probably just kind of like mostly focus in this session on kind of just exploring,
Okay.
how taking turns, and then maybe we could reserve like the last like 10 or 15 minutes for kind of Q&A, and I could kind
Yeah.
of give an overview of the rest of the mechanics
Perfect.
for,
Okay.
like that you would encounter more in a campaign.
Then let me see.
So yeah, probably no. We don't know we have to leave.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Then I am going to pick a new card.
Maybe some of us
And
do. Maybe actually,
I-
that's kind of interesting. Maybe that's a good question. Like maybe
Mm-hmm.
the elders know, maybe Tater knows, or maybe
Right.
specifically, maybe like maybe specifically Saffron, who's
Yeah,
been
who
kind
saw
of
that,
witnessing the Umbra knows, and no one else knows.
Okay.
well, I kind of got vibes seeing those disease trees from Moana when they're like, the coconuts are bad and the fish are gone. And
Right,
I'm
right,
like,
right.
"Oh,
Huh,
wait a minute,
Yeah.
this is a
we
lot."
can't eat food anymore. Wait a second.
Right.
Okay, so
I'm
you're
gonna
scene.
say- All right.
So the first thing you want to do is choose a scene, and then decide if
Okay.
you're going to share or witness.
I think we're going to do fairgrounds,
Nice.
and we are going to witness rather than share.
Well, so
And
who would you like to
I-
give that to?
I am going to give this to.
I think the player, not the character.
Right. I'm going to give this to Rebecca. Is that you down here?
Yeah, Rebecca
Yeah.
is
Okay.
this one.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So then, for the scene I am thinking of, so this is summertime, right? And I think that because, summer is more of a time of abundance, and harvest is starting near the end of the summer and things like that, for several of the crops that we use, that Ma Tater has taught us about, that we have a celebration, a festival in Rivertown, for, just marking that renewal, that beginning of the abundance, and so I'm thinking that scene would probably be, I kind of feel like it's everyone, just because this is like a big event in town, yeah. So I think Violet is kind of hanging back, watching the kids go and play, maybe talking to Saffron and Tater. And I mean, whatever y'all think.
Well, I'm very glad that you're watching the kids because I've somehow been roped into, again, managing entries for the different fair categories.
Oh, yeah.
I'm making sure everyone gets signed up in the right place.
That's
And
true.
It's there's a lot of diplomacy because that person has been winning for the last 3 years, and people want to make sure that their thing is marked correctly so they aren't taken out of the running. So
Did Ma enter anything this year?
Did
Well,
you enter the peach pie competition?
I absolutely entered the peach pie
Yeah,
competition.
much to the children's chagrin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Our peach pies.
Yeah. Oh, it's okay. You'll be after the judging, we can eat it all.
Why? Why can't we eat it now?
Because Ma Teeter needs to know she's made the best peach pie.
Right. Because Ma Tater has to destroy the competition.
Yeah, it's just like this really deep betrayal that Olive has experienced by this like pie
But-
not being available
but-
for eating.
But don't you want
And-
Tater to beat everybody? Come on.
I mean,
I'm
that's the
imagining
material.
Tater has ignored all conversation and is just kind of like staring very intently at the like judges.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm.
make the right choices. Make the right choices.
And I see like at big community events like this, especially where Grandma Tater is in this competition doing what she does, that Thistle gets so many comments from people around the community like, oh, you look so much like your grandma, like
Mhm,
talking about
mhm.
how, this is going to be you someday, like entering your peach pies into the contest.
Oh, like
And
maybe you helped. Maybe you cooked
yeah,
something.
yeah, maybe I have a tiny pie that,
Mhm.
that doesn't look so great, but I made it in Grandma's kitchen.
Is it a mud pie? No, okay. Sorry.
The
There's
mud
a
pie
junior.
competition.
There's a
Although-
junior competition, I think, as
Yeah,
well.
there's usually, well, in smaller fairs, there's going to be categories. So that way, like, if there's youth entries, they don't get totally crushed by people who've been doing it for 40 years. So, like, I don't know if you have a nemesis, like Ma Tater has a nemesis who's
For
always
sure.
Look,
sure.
Ma peas and carrots.
Whoa.
included.
Peas and carrots are not my friends.
Yeah. Well,
Now, there's two different ones, like pea and
Ma
carrots,
pea
and
and
they
Ma
get
carrot?
along
They're
really well.
twins, so peas and
Oh.
carrots are twins who have been my nemesis.
they're allowed. It's not kind of not fair because in the traditions of the Ox people, they're allowed to bake together.
Ugh,
Yeah.
They are.
not okay.
I would say two peas in a pod, but they're not.
No.
Mhm.
The carrot won't fit.
Yeah. And they kind of went all out. They kind of went all out this year, I think.
Well, I mean, maybe they tried to, but like
They
the
did
orchard
try
is
to,
a-
but obviously my
common-
grandchildren picked the best peaches in the entire River Valley. So
Of course they did.
was like, is the orchard like a common orchard, like anyone can pick from anywhere, or is there like common
Oh.
harvest, or
Oh.
is it?
I bet most people pick from the new orchard, and we've got these like
Yeah.
the old orchard peaches, which is kind of hard to get to because the road's really overgrown and rocky and kind of steep.
But
But
where
they
is
just
that?
taste so much better though.
The peaches grown in
sun-
adversity taste the sweetest.
For
But
sure.
is the blight
sure.
closer to
Yeah.
the new orchard or to the old orchard?
Oh, that's true.
So-
I want to say it's closer to the old orchard.
Yeah.
But I
there's just
also,
Oh, go ahead.
I feel like if Saffron saw this, I'd imagine Saffron would have communicated that to
Mm.
Ma Tater before you started cooking. Just
Mhm.
like, hey, keep an eye out for this. So
I also communicate it to everyone else
Yeah.
because if there is diseased trees, we need to.
Yeah.
Like we've already cut down those other ones on our orchard.
right.
We don't want it to spread.
Now, as far as like kind of building this out, like, is it just that's the first? This is the first instance we've seen, yes, or is it okay? Build that.
Maybe that we've
Yeah. I think so.
recognized. 'Cause
Yeah.
Maybe there's fewer beetles, and we weren't the people who were beetle gathering. So
Right.
Mhm. So I think the judge is, maybe the winner of last year's pie
Better not be pea or
competition.
carrot.
No, it's
see,
Quince.
Oh,
if it's
okay.
like that, then
That's
that means
fair.
If you win
I
the
mean-
previous year, you can't enter the next year.
Oh, yeah.
And Quince, is even older than Ma Tater, and she's kind of hunched over, and she's just sort of like getting real because you can't see too good. So she gets real close to the pie so she can like really examine the crumb and the crust. And she's, one of the judge assistants comes and cuts a little slice for her, and we see her kind of hold it up, and she, kind of gets it on her fork, and her fork's kind of shaking a little bit. And we see this kind of close up of her bringing the fork to her eyes, and she does that thing with her lips where it's kind of like the lips start reaching for the bite
yeah.
even before it gets to her fork.
Oh,
She, and she gets in there and is like chewing a little bit, and it kind of dribbles down her little pruny lips, and she's like, "Oh, pretty good. Oh, I can tell who made this pie," and like looks at you, From the old orchard, I can tell.
The
Yep.
sun hits them just right.
And then
Make the sweetest peaches.
she looks at it and goes in for a second bite, and she's like, what's that? And like starts coughing a little bit.
Oh.
Something a little bitter.
Yeah.
And she kind of looks and she pulls out. She reaches in with a finger and kind of pulls out. And I think one of the peach kind of, she like pulls out this like kind of whole peach, and it kind of has this almost like dark oily stain on it. And she's like, and she like throws it on the ground and like kind of gets a little drink of water and like spits it. And it's like, interesting. And kind of goes on to the next pie.
I just start crying because someone has like insulted my grandma's pie.
No,
and
it's
it
okay.
makes me really sad.
Right? Like Thistle and Olive, we ride at dawn. Yeah.
Well, you know she wouldn't have put it in there bad, so somehow that happened.
Yeah.
The cream and
That's my pie.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think needless to say, I think maybe peas and carrots end up taking it this year. I don't know what y'all think. The X card is available if I'm spoiling anybody's
No,
fun.
that feels right. I think
It feels wrong, but right.
it feels narratively
Right.
right.
Yeah.
Grandma Tater is not pleased.
Yeah.
But I want to inspect the pie. Well, yeah, I think what I did was I tasted some of the peaches and I was like, these are amazing and beautiful, and then cut the rest up while being distracted by both Olive and Thistle's discussions and conversations, and so didn't notice this particular peach. So later after festival, we're going to do timey-wimey things. I want to look at the peaches that we had, like just to really inspect them and see what's up. And there is something wrong.
Yeah.
Like usually a peach is kind of beautiful oranges and yellows and kind of these amber colors, and they're like you can see that all the way through. But some have like a kind of sickly yellow green color to them. That baked kind of weird into that oily kind of texture, but it's like there are 2 or 3 peaches that are wrong from the batch. And I don't know whose scene it is. We've all taken a little bit.
Well, it's one person. I think Rebecca is in charge of.
Oh, right.
I'm card, yeah.
I'm the commission. And I did have an idea for that. So, as we're wandering around the fairgrounds, I mean, in addition to all of the like festivity things and the pie eating contests and competitions, there are also people there who have livestock that they're kind of showing off. And one of the things that we see while we're wandering through the fairgrounds is a group of people who are bartering. So there's some people have cows, but they might be sheep, or they are trading for different kinds of grains or other goods that they need for their homesteads. And so we see the process that our community goes through for trading of goods and exchange of goods to make sure that everybody has what they need, but it's got to shake out so that everybody else you're getting what you need for what someone else needs. And we see that kind of due process of trading and exchange of goods.
Cool.
It happens at the fair.
Awesome. And this was Violet's scene, so you're going to give this to Violet. So Violet's the one witnessing this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. What happens next, Violet?
I think that we have to do some consoling privately for Ma Tater because, she doesn't want the kids to know that she's upset, I would imagine. But also for the kids who are like, how dare you say that about my mom or my grandma? Just like, oh, it's okay. There's always next year. Irony. And trying to usher them over to a different activity, so that they can kind of get their mind off of it. But Violet is definitely kind of making some pointed eye contact with Saffron and Ma, just like something is wrong. Yeah. But I think that's all I had in mind for that scene. So
Okay, great. Okay, so we've completed one round. So mechanically, the only new thing is that after we've each done one scene in a location, we now have the option to do migration scenes, which during which you, which is simply at the start of your turn, if your token is already on a scene, you may choose to play a migration scene. After each player has had a migration scene, we migrate the family as a group. When you play a migration scene, you take your card off of the map, or you take your token off of the map and put it on your note card, and just tell us why your character knows it's time to leave. And then if you hold more tradition cards than Marks of Age, you decide which you will carry on the journey and place any extras face up on the table in front of you, and they just remain there for now. And then you pass the turn, and we continue playing and just continue going around until everyone's done a migration scene. And when it comes to your turn, we just skip your turn. So then you don't do more scenes until everyone's decided to migrate. And then we move as a family, and there's kind of a process for that.
okay.
But so great. So it's my turn. And so I think with our time, well, let's do just like maybe 2 or 3 more scenes now that we kind of have the hang of it, and then we can do a little Q&A, and I can kind of just do sort of an overview of what a campaign is like.
Yeah, that sounds
okay?
great. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and do a scene, and this is going to be, I think I was at the Elder's Cottage. And I think this scene is maybe also going to be, let's do a scene at Oxbridge. And I am going to say I could share a tradition now because I do have a tradition card in my hand. But I think I'm interested in witnessing a tradition. So I'm going to go ahead and take this card, and I'm going to... Danielle, would you like to do this one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Try and take that into your hand.
Boop.
Okay. So I think we see Olive and their sister Thistle together at Oxbridge. And this is a stone bridge. We like to come here sometimes in the evening, watching I think we're here kind of waiting for our mother to come back from the hills. I think during the day the ox herds kind of go out into the hills and graze and feed, and and Saffron, I think you go out there too, and maybe you're part of the herdsmen, or maybe if you have some other reason to kind of be out with the herd during the day. There's some adult business that you do. Maybe you gather straw or something, or
I like how you don't have to know, because what adults do is a total mystery. Like, I don't know, probably ox things.
exactly. Who knows? Ox.
And like I've explained it multiple times, but it's
totally. And and so, but we it's kind of this sort of magical time where I think our grandmother and aunt sort of send us off to the bridge to wait for you. But that time in between when we've been sent off and when the herds come back is kind of our time. It's like, there's no rules, no parents. So we're hanging out at the bridge right now. And Thistle, what do you like to do when you're at the Oxbridge?
So the Ox Bridge is near the river. Is it the bridge that's going across the river in
Sure.
the art there?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe not. This one I kind of see there's sort of like village over there and village over there. It could be.
Well, I imagine I've kind of established Thistle as this like person who collects things. So I'm probably looking for some rocks or something that are near the bridge, and I'm just picking them up as I go along, like looking for cool ones. Maybe they have like different colors in them, or like little shapes or critters that have been left over time, and showing you the coolest ones that I find.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and Olive's just kind of really interested in anything that their sister has to show them, and I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. Wow, oh, it's blue. Just you kind of, I'm just kind of like talking a little bit and kind of babbling to myself. When even when you're not showing me stuff, I'm like, oh, I'm sort of like I narrate to myself a lot about what's going on around me. Much more than I do that a lot more than I actually talk to people. I sort of talk to myself a lot. I just had a kind of a lore thought, which I was thinking the Oxbridge, that there's like many bridges in town, and the Oxbridge is named this because it's the only one that's actually strong enough to reliably hold an ox. There's a lot of
Important.
yeah, as opposed to like the Squirrel Bridge or the
That's what I was thinking, because I was like, oh yeah, we got to name things for oxes. I'm like, ox. I'm like, wait, is it because it's strong as an ox? It's exclusively used for the oxen, so there's like a lot of manure on it.
yeah.
I don't know. Alphabetically, the one before this is like the near bridge, and the one after it is like the
Penguin Bridge. Yeah,
Penguin Bridge.
probably not Penguin Bridge.
I was trying to think of a plant that starts with P. Maybe plant bridge. I don't know.
Totally.
Plantain Bridge.
So we're down there, gathering rocks, looking at rocks, kind of slowly filling our pockets. I think I have another one of grandma's aprons that I've borrowed, and it's this one. It's kind of tied up. It's sort of, I'm almost wearing it like a little halter or something, sort of tied up around my neck. And it's like it's just it's kind of like a half apron, for grandma, but it's sort of covering up my whole front, and I'm just stuffing the pockets with rocks. Show grandma later.
If I could take the scene for the witnessing part, so focusing kind of in on that apron, it's a very kind of faded blue, but there's a iridescence to it that's kind of neat. And like you'll see several people come to the bridge, and they have these big giant vats and big tubs, and inside of them are if you remember those beetles from earlier, the same kind of iridescent color in these tubs as those beetles, and it's filled with all of these long yards of yarn, and they're pulling them out of these big tubs and putting them into the river to kind of like wash the dye off, and you can see the river start to turn this beautiful iridescent kind of blues, and slowly kind of a little bit purples too, and these are the threads that make our finest clothes, which
Cool.
I'm gonna give you that one back, Olive.
Nice.
But yes, the Oxbridge being the only strongest bridge is the one that kind of can be the one where they put down into the river to wash off the excess of the kind of beetles, and this is the fine remnants that we wear and make our favorite clothing out of, and it has that kind of same medicine, that same kind of protective magic
that's
that
cool.
infuses all of our best clothing.
Yeah.
Maybe the Oxbridge is the most upstream one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that iridescence kind of washes through all past the whole rest of the town.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
It is not the one with the manure.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we have the bridge. The manure's on the bridge, and someone has to like shovel it off.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we see Olive, just watching, watching as the adults, do the dyeing work, and just being really kind of entranced by the transformation of the fabric as it absorbs these rich colors. And of course, as some time goes by, we hear the I think maybe the kind of drone camera pans up a little bit, of the shot, and we see this like shot of the we can hear the sounds of the ox bells in the distance, and we see our mother, we see Saffron and the rest of the adults coming down with the herd from the hills, and this like really beautiful kind of these rich colors making their way. As people are coming home. Go ahead and end that scene there. Okay, so what I would like to do next is demonstrate to you all what happens at the end of a chapter. So let's pretend we're ending a chapter right now.
Oh,
Oh
The
no,
chapter
we're
has
ending the
ended.
chapter. So
So
done.
so this is what
Done.
happens in the chapter.
The timing is really
really
on point.
amazing.
Okay, let's
That was so
see.
dramatic.
You
I feel like you must
yeah.
have done that on purpose, right? That was so
I know,
good.
right?
So
The
good.
chapter
So
hath
good.
ended.
The blight is coming.
When the
Yeah.
chapter
They-
ends, we just
Literally a
leave.
cut
The
to
Umbra
black.
has gotten Ross.
Oh no.
Yeah, no. I'm sure that they will pop back. As soon as
Mhm.
they do, I can put
But
them
it is a
in.
good time to let chat know, hey, if you have
Yeah.
any questions or want to talk about or make any points or comments, please put them in the chat so we can convey them to Ross as well as take them on ourselves.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I really like you guys' storytelling. That was super
I
cool.
I love the storytelling of this game. And
Yeah, it is a lot of fun, and I think just if we talk about library programming a little bit while we're waiting for Ross
Yeah,
to
for
pop
sure.
back in.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, just pure play is
Yeah.
a lot of fun, but you could also tie this in with um, any kind of like creative. You could use this for creative writing prompts. You could use this for so many things to tie into other library programming. Um,
Yeah.
and I think it's something that is friendly for a variety of ages. Like I would love to hear the storytelling that like elementary age kids do with this. I think it would be
Yeah.
really sweet. Obviously, I don't know what is in all of those Umbra cards,
Right.
but
Possibly less sweet.
Although if
yeah,
you have
Yeah.
the physical version, at least you could take out any possibly
Yeah.
triggering
Mhm.
umbras.
For sure.
Like if there was one for forest fire, like
Yeah,
we've
that's
still
real.
have some forest fires in New Mexico recently that took out big things, or like the Panhandle of Texas. Probably that would be too much.
Right.
So I don't know if you can take those out in the
In the virtual.
virtual one. I imagine you could probably just not stack it and then put it off to the side and then just shuffle the other ones.
Mhm.
I'm sharing my screen, Molly, since Ross is
Okay.
gone,
Perfect.
and I don't see Ross in the. I don't see
He's not in
his
there right
cursor.
now.
It seems like the Umbras
And
aren't
it's
very
grayed out.
specific, though. So they're kind of who joins Umbra, who fights Umbra,
Yeah.
Song of Umbra. So I think they're a little more loose for interpretation, which I think is one of the strengths of this one is the very loose kind of, oh, what do we want? What do we mean by, sowing seeds? Or
Yeah.
what do we mean by, like how Rebecca was like, oh, the hearth is your forge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was so
I
Mhm.
when I had that one, because it was the way of the forge was the thing, and I
Mhm.
was like, well, I could obviously do this very literally, and it's a
Right.
whole blacksmith thing. But the more you started talking about your kitchen, I was
Yeah.
like, and then you started talking about bringing the food, I was like, okay, your forge is your kitchen,
Yeah.
and you're using it to forge relationships with your community members.
Yeah.
So it
Oh,
kind of seemed to fit.
thank you for that,
Gorgeous.
Rebecca. And I
Yeah,
love
that's
that
magical.
we have our built-in connections. There are bonds that are like together and we're weaving the story. It's like it does make it easier to be like, okay, I'm gonna pull in my kids. Let's go
Right,
to
right,
the
right.
story. And even a little kid would be like, okay, I understand how to be a kid. Or I kind of know what a parent might do. And again, hilarious
Yeah.
to see what a child would think of parents.
Yeah, that was
My
so
kid
great.
and like, or my mom, and then I'll be like, oh, and then I decide to not go to bed.
Right.
Oh, I
Yeah.
would dearly love to have these coins because I feel like the physical nature of being like, I am
Yeah.
now in this place, boop, and let's talk about that.
For
Yeah,
sure.
the
I did.
coins are really pretty.
I do think it might be difficult if someone has trouble with metaphor and with like symbolic language. Then
Mm,
this could be an issue. But that if they just like if I like how he introduced it, how other people can help. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be.
Mm-hmm.
You totally have to make that up. So
Well,
they
and I like.
very,
Oh, go ahead. I
I
didn't
was
mean to
just
cut
saying
you off
they
there.
make it as literal as they wanted to.
Yeah. And I like to the point that Rebecca made about using this in a program that is not necessarily primarily a game program, like using this in a creative writing thing. During like NaNoWriMo or National Poetry Month,
Mm-hmm.
doing this as a way of exploring writing more metaphorically, or using these cards as prompts that can, like, hey, let's write a poem based on that, um, that kind of thing, or even just using it as a way of developing world building in a
Mm-hmm.
program. I think would be
Oh
really
yeah.
cool.
Well, especially you have so many, like you have like these couple kind of touchstones, but also what do we mean by like I know about seed planting because I have gardens and stuff, but it's
Yeah.
a great chance for I'm thinking academic library wise, like, oh, you can pull in from your anthropological classes or your history classes. Like, we're going to play this game, use what you've learned about whatever time period we're talking about to kind of add depth and texture to
Right.
what is going on in the story. Or you can maybe even limit it to, like, we're going to play in this particular region of the world. Like, how would that look
Yeah.
for the game?
I'm the art liaison for our library, and yeah, like, all right, guys, we're gonna play it this week, and then now y'all have to go illustrate what happened.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be so good.
I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, and I really love. I mean, we played a digital version of this online for the stream, obviously, but I love the physicalness if you have the physical copy of the map that rolls out and the coins, and all of the coins are double-sided too.
Right.
Mhm.
They're so
So
cool.
they've got different images, and it's just a really beautiful game.
Hmm.
Yeah, I love the materiality of it.
And you don't have to unroll it all, so we can see it all unrolled. But
Right.
if I was playing this tabletop with someone, I would
Just
not.
the yeah.
I would, yeah.
Yeah, just unroll to where you
Mhm.
are.
Oh,
Hmm.
100%. Like if I'm at the pub or brewery, it's like, boop, let's play a game, y'all. And like,
Mhm.
I love that it's collaborative and you can have a facilitator for like one or two.
Yeah.
A facilitator, that's what we
Yes.
need to say.
Yay! Summoned.
Sorry about that.
It was kind of perfect though. It's
You've
like
been summoned.
end the
Good.
chapter. Boop,
Yeah.
that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no. But yeah, we were just talking about how much we love it and all the different
great.
applications for the library.
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, do you want me to say what I was going to say?
Absolutely.
Yes,
Sure,
please.
totally.
I am
All
going to
right,
go ahead and
cool.
pop out because I've got my meeting in 11 minutes.
Yeah,
But
for
thank
sure.
you guys so much for letting me play. Thank you so much for Roz for leading us in this game. And bye.
Yeah. Thank you
Thanks,
Take care,
for coming.
Regina.
Have a lovely
Bye,
day.
Regina.
Nice meeting you, Regina. Okay. So we're at the end of the chapter, and what happens at the end of the chapter is all of our characters get older. So you'd add a mark of age to your character. And if your character already has 6 marks of age, because they're an elder, you cross off a mark of age.
Oh no.
And then if anybody is holding more traditions, then they have marks of age. You put any extras. You put extra tradition cards in the middle, and then other people have the option to kind of like trade out a little bit what they've got in their hand, and then any leftovers get shuffled back or get put back onto the bottom of our tradition deck. And that's how you end a chapter. And then at the start of each new chapter, we just kind of continue in the same place, but time has passed. And if you're an elder, if you have any marked off marks, if you have any crossed off marks of age at the start of a chapter, you roll a die. And if you roll equal to or less than your crossed off marks, then your character has passed in between chapters. And you're going to play this chapter as as our memory of you. And when you play a memory scene, you you can only share traditions, and you kind of do it from the perspective of our memory of you. So like how we kind of
Oh,
remember these things, and so you'll play out the rest of that chapter kind of as a memory, and then the next chapter you create a new child in the family, and that's kind of your character.
Oh,
oh, that's super cool. I like
yeah,
that.
that's really cool. Okay, I've got
And
so
then
many thoughts. Go ahead.
yeah, and then a couple other just mechanical things, I guess. So when you migrate, I kind of described how we each take our characters off one at a time, describe how we know it's time to go. And when we've all taken our characters off, we do the same thing again, where if you have any extra traditions, you put them in the center. We decide if any traditions that have been left in the center, we now decide if we want to take any of these with us. And anything that's left, we describe how we end up leaving this tradition behind, and it goes back to the bottom of the deck. And then we move to wherever our new home is, and we can, in this case, we're in Rivertown, so we could go either to Cloud Citadel or to Temple Island. And we all put our tokens there in this new place. And now there's a new local tradition. So now this is now the local tradition, and of course the Umbra tradition is still with us. And so we then begin doing the same thing, sharing and witnessing traditions, but in this new home. So as play continues, we of course migrate across the city map. There's different paths to go. You can kind of board the lantern ship and kind of take this upper road, or you can join a caravan and take this southern road. And eventually, we do make it. And there's different traditions that kind of come up, and then eventually we do reach the city of Winter. And there's these different places that you can kind of migrate into the city. So like in Seek Work in Glowtown, or claim asylum at Lantern Gate, find shelter in the refuge, smuggled into the drift, or pledge service to the Palace of the Moon.
Mm.
And then we switch. How do you do it? Sorry, I'm confused. Oh, I can't see my full screen. That's why. Whoop. Okay. So down here we can kind of change scenes. So you can switch to the city map, and we migrate to whatever that location was on the city map that we moved to. So if you click in the bottom left corner, there's kind of these sort of stacked tiles. That's how you switch between the river scroll and the city map. And you can, so they're called surfaces in Screen Top. So in the physical version of the game, this is another textile component that comes with the game. So then if we had like migrated to the refuge, then we would kind of be in the refuge. And there's new traditions that are only present in the city. And one of the differences is the way witnessing works. In the city, when you witness, you actually draw one tradition card for each icon. So in this case, you would draw, if you were in the refuge, you would draw one of these fox traditions. And then you would also draw any other tradition with a circle icon. And then you'd have both those in your hand. And then when you're witnessing, you can either show one tradition or the other tradition, or you can play them both and kind of describe how these two traditions have kind of combined to create some kind of new tradition. And there's some other kind of mechanics around being in the city. As our characters age, as our characters age, they get marks of the city. Instead of the kind of circle marks, you give yourself a little diamond mark, and that kind of represents how, and there's like a different bonds list for the city that kind of reflects it's the sort of urbanness. And there's this kind of transit system. So when you play your turn, depending on how many marks of the city you have, you can kind of choose to be in different locations. So as your character becomes more, has more street smarts, you're kind of, you can kind of travel around the city over the, and even though we're living in the refuge, maybe you have a scene in the refuge, and then, maybe you go to Spiral Avenue for work, or like kind of other things like that. Yeah, that's kind of the overall scope of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love this map so much. That is the
Yeah.
coolest
Yeah.
looking thing.
It's really great.
Everything's so beautiful. And Heart of the Deernicorn, for the games that y'all design and publish, you make this stuff all in-house, or
We make
for your physical games?
we screen print the I mean, I can kind of, I'll give you a tour at some point, I guess. But yeah, we screen print the scrolls. We do all the custom textile components in-house, just kind of about 20 feet away from where I'm sitting right now. And we also manufacture the cards. So the cards are all screen printed that come with the physical version of the game. They're all
That's
kind
really
of printed
cool.
on fancy paper,
That's really great.
The
Yeah.
boxes and the metal tokens are done by other companies, and then they ship them to us.
Brilliant.
That's super cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I have so many thoughts because I love this so much, and I could keep talking about this forever, but I don't want to just monopolize the chat here. Um, but I know we've talked a bit about some kinds of programs that we could bring this in on, and I am just wondering. Well, I mean, what do you feel like it's like to run this for like a different age group or a group of people like today? Like, what was your experience running it today for people that you hadn't really played with before?
I mean, playing role playing games with librarians is kind of cheating. In a lot of ways. Just I mean, so I'm in. Yeah, I mean, you all are really into books and really into reading and really into analog media in general. You spend a lot of time. Usually, you don't become a librarian because you don't like to read.
Right.
And I feel like especially like storytelling and having ideas about story is something that I've always had it's always really fun for me sharing this kind of media with librarians. I'm in Olympia where the state where the state librarians are all here, and they all come to a bunch of them come to our story game nights and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a crew that I've played a lot of games with. So but yeah, in terms of like playing with folks that are kind of newer, some challenges you might encounter with patrons are, I think a lot of times people so one is sometimes there's kind of like three sort of categories of folks. I think especially if your library doesn't have like a lot of an established story game program already. One of them is you have folks that haven't played any kind of role-playing game before, and might be like a little bit shy about public speaking. And I think there, like, you'll sort of notice, like, when I'm facilitating, the main things I have to do are kind of coax people. Usually I just kind of ask some questions to help people get focused in the scene, or like, hey, what's your character doing now? Oh, really? What does that mean? Or can you tell me a little bit about this? So a lot of the facilitation, my facilitation skills that I sort of bring into those environments are just kind of asking questions, and getting people to wonder a little bit about the game. And I think it's also kind of important, you noticed at the beginning, those sort of things that you kind of read to introduce the concept, the whole idea of, like, you can act like an actor, you can just kind of narrate things, just ask questions, those are all just, we already have the skills that we need to play these games. Everybody has these skills. They just maybe don't always feel like they have permission to use them, So that's one thing. And then there's this other category of folks where, people that have done a lot of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And so there's dungeon masters, there's people that are used to being dungeon masters, and there's people that are used to being players. And the folks that are used to being dungeon masters, sometimes they are not used to sharing creative authority with, like, other people, and are really trying to, like, make big ideas happen. And sometimes I kind of have to step in a little bit and be like, oh, let's let that person decide what their character is doing, or let's maybe, it's okay. You don't have to, like, encouraging people to think small and kind of like not plan too far ahead, because that's what you're doing when you're a dungeon master. You're trying to plan out this whole adventure for people. Mm-hmm. And this is very much involves a lot more listening. And then for the players, people that have done a lot of playing of D&D, the challenge is getting them to sort of step into exercise the narrative authority that you have in a game like this, where you actually can make up more characters on the fly. You get to make up things about, this fictional world that we live in. And they're just going to be true. You actually don't have to ask permission.
Yeah, I do love how collaborative this whole thing felt, and how much all of us were still involved, even when it was someone else's like
Mhm.
scene or
Mhm.
thing to, yeah, I just really like that. And I think
Yeah.
that would lend itself really well to a library program. Um, yeah, well, just because it is now 1 minute past, I am going to go ahead and wrap this up. If you have any final thoughts before I outro here, then by all means, share.
I'm just so happy and feel so honored that you came and joined us because
Yeah,
this
this
has
was really
been
great.
a delightful experience. So thank you so much for leading us through it, Ross.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Thank you
Yeah,
for
it's
sharing
a
your
lot of fun,
game.
Ross.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
And
yeah, and
it's a beautiful game. So
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
yeah, and you can all run it now. I mean, I wasn't doing anything really special, so please feel free to play with your friends, and I'll, we've got the scroll editions available as well. But then we have this very affordable, digital version, which has both print and play stuff, and also plays quite nicely just on the internet. So I hope you play more City of Winter and
Yeah.
explore making up sad games about family. Here's about your families
Yeah.
and poignant,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ross, for joining us again and leading us through it. Thank you, Rebecca and Danielle and Regina, even though she had to step out already, for all of the fun. And thank you, everyone who joined us in chat today, for your comments and thoughts and joining us on these adventures. We look forward to sharing more games and ways you can play, so make sure to follow us in all of the usual places. This has been Low Stress High Mayhem with Games and Gaming Roundtable.